Hello my dear students in 4th primary, how are you? اتعلمنا في الدرس اللي فات how to compare decimals using models وكمان using the place value chart. Today we will build on what we have learned and we will know how to compare fractions and decimals directly من غير ما استخدم المودلز أو من غير ما استخدم place value chart. We will do this through lesson 10 of unit 10 titled Comparing Tenths and Hundredths. In this lesson, هنتعلم how to compare decimals and fractions that have 10 or 100 as the denominator. We will start our lesson with the activity counting by tenths in Access on page 102. Here we want to count the tenths. Let's see it all together, but now let's see it on the board to explain this activity. طيب دلوقتي زي ما احنا شايفين we have numbers from 0 to 10. Let's use them. تعالوا نستخدمهم to write fractions with denominators of 10. يعني let's try to say the numbers. أنا هكتب النمبرز وانتوا تقولوها معايا. Okay? Now here I have 0 over 10 and let's write with another color. 1 over 10, 2 over 10, 3 over 10, 4 over 10, 5 over 10, here is 6 over 10, 7 over 10, 8 over 10, 9 over 10, and 10 over 10. Okay, now from our knowledge of fractions, احنا عارفين ان 0 over 10 هي نفسها equals A to 0, right? 0 over 10 equals to 0. And what about the fraction 10 over 10? Exactly 10 over 10 يعني equals to 1. I write here 1. Okay. Now we will count again but المرة دي هكتبهم as decimals. Okay. تعالوا كده نكتبهم مع بعض. Okay. So here I have 0 and 10 tenths, 0.1, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths, 5 tenths, 6 tenths, 7 tenths, 8 tenths, and 9 tenths. Then the last one, 10 tenths, which is equal to 1. Now if you want to compare the fractions and decimals in front of us, هنلاقي إيه؟ هنلاقي that they are equal to each other, right? For example, 1 over 10 is equal to what? 1 over 10 equals to 1 tenth. Okay, and what about 5 over 10? 5 over 10 equals to 5 tenths. Okay, so the fractions equal to the decimal. So we reach one that is equal to 10 over 10. Before we had to build, does anyone remember? في حد فيكم فاكر how is the target of today's lesson different مختلف عن the target of the previous one? في previous lesson our focus كنا مركزين على writing fractions and decimals equivalent to the hundredths place. But this time we are building our knowledge and comparing the decimals and fractions which have 10 or 100 as the denominator. كمان هنتعلم أكتر about this in the activity comparing different forms in build page 102. تعالوا كده نشوفها مع بعض. Okay. Here in this activity, as you see, here we want to compare different forms of fractions using the symbol greater than, smaller than, or equal. And now I'll give you enough time to think about problems number 1 and 2, and then we will discuss the solution all together. Now after you have finished, أنا متأكدة إن أنتوا كلكم you used your past knowledge just like mathematicians do to compare the fractions. Let's solve the problems all together. Here in problem number 1, we are comparing 24 over 106 tenths. طيب عشان أقدر أعمل comparing in a very easy way أهم حاجة أكتب النمبرز in the same form، يا إما هكتبهم in fraction form أو هكتبهم in decimal form as you wish. طيب دلوقتي أنا هختار to write both in decimal form. يبقى هكتب 24 over 100 as decimal form هتبقى 0.24 أو 24 hundredths. Okay? Then what should I do? I will write them under each other. يبقى هكتب 0.24 وتحتها على طول 0.6. لازم البوينت تبقى under البوينت، الوانس under the ones، tenth under the tenth. Okay. طيب as you can see there are no whole numbers. 0. Two whole numbers are 0. يبقى هبدأ to compare between the tenths place. أول decimal عندي 2 tenths. The second one I have 6 tenths. So which is bigger? أنا متأكدة إن أنتوا كلكم دلوقتي بتقولوا إن 6 tenths is greater than 2 tenths. ده معناه إن 24 hundredths greater than 6 tenths أو 24 over 100 أكبر من 6 tenths. تعالوا نشوف problem number 2. Here problem number 2 I will compare 6 over 10 and 34 hundredths. زي ما شرحنا بالظبط. I will write the two fractions under each other. أو first I will write them in the same form. هكتب 6 over 10 as a decimal هتبقى 0.6. Right? And then I will put them under each other. يبقى هكتب 0.6 under each 0.34. Okay? Now, what should I do? I will compare the two whole numbers. هلاقي إن الwhole numbers 0. طيب يبقى I will go to the tenth. Here I have 6 tenths and here I have 3 tenths. So which is bigger? Sure, 6 tenths is greater than 3 tenths. ده معناه إن 6 over 10 greater than 34 hundredths. تعالوا بقى نروح لبروبلم number 3. Problem number 3 he needs me to make more focus. لازم نركز كويس قوي وما نتسرعش في إجابة problem number 3. We want to compare 1 and 4 hundredths and 98 tenths. طيب أنا متأكدة إن أنتوا كلكم ملاحظين إن second number written in unit form. تعالوا نكتبه in the same form. مش احنا اتفقنا إن لازم نكتبهم الاتنين the same form in standard form. طيب هكتبها إزاي؟ مش 98 tenths هي نفسها 90 plus 8. 98 يعني 90 plus 8. Right? طيب مش احنا متفقين إن every one whole consists of 10 tenths. ده معناه إن 9 tenths equals what? equal 9 ones. طيب يبقى 90 plus 8 equals 9 ones and 8 tenths. يعني ممكن أكتبها 9 ones and 8 tenths يعني 9.8. Right? Okay. So now you know what I said we needed. انتوا دلوقتي أكيد كلكم عرفتوا ليه أنا قلت إن احنا محتاجين نركز كويس قوي in this one. عشان ممكن حد يتسرع ويقول لي إن 1.04 أكبر من 98 tenths. عشان هنا في whole number اللي هو 1 وهنا ما عنديش whole number يعني عندي 98 tenths. لكن الكلام ده غلط. فعشان كده writing the two numbers in the same form ده بيساعدني كويس قوي عشان اختار الرايت answer. طيب زي ما شرحنا قبل كده لازم نعمل النمبرز under each other. اوكي يبقى هعمل 1.04 under it 9.8. اوكي طيب so let's compare between the whole numbers. زي ما احنا شايفين كده الفيرست نمبر انا عندي 1 whole والسكند نمبر انا عندي 9 whole. ده معناه ان 98 tenths greater than 1 and 4 hundredths. Right? Okay. Now in some problems we can compare numbers by reading them. ممكن نعمل compare مجرد ان انا اقرا النمبرز بس هعرف اعمل which is هعرف احدد مين bigger ومين smaller. And this is not new to us. دي مش حاجة جديدة علينا عملناها قبل كده. تعالوا ناخد الexample in problem number 6. Here you see problem number 6. we have two equivalent fractions. The first number is 0.7. The second number is 7/10. لما اجي اقراهم هلاقي ان 7/10 equals to 0.7 اللي هي برضو 7/10. So I will put the equal sign. Okay, now in problem number 7 تعالوا بقى نشوف problem number 7. The first number is in standard form اللي هي 2 and 7/100ths. The second number مكتوب in the unit form 2 ones and 7/10ths. أول حاجة لازم أكتبهم in the same form. طيب if we represent the second number لو كتبت the second number ده as a standard form هكتبه ازاي؟ 2.7 right؟ يبقى أنا دلوقتي عايزة compare between 2.7 and 2.07. لازم أعملهم under each other. So I will write 2.07 and under it 2.7. Then what should I do? I will compare the digits in the ones place first. طيب مش احنا شايفين هنا ان ال ones place the same؟ الاتنين عندهم 2 in the ones place. So I will move to the next digit اللي هو tenths. Here I have 0/10 and here I have 7/10. So which is bigger? Of course the number consists of 7. النمبر اللي عنده 7/10 greater than the number which has 0 in the tenths, right? So 2 ones and 7/10 greater than 2 and 7/100ths. طيب في حد ممكن يفكر of making the decimal equal. مش احنا اتفقنا لو عندي هنا 2 digits بعد البوينت ممكن اخلي هنا برضو same digits او same number of digits. هعمل ايه؟ هزود 0 وبرضو هلاقي ان 70/100ths greater than 7/10. Okay, now here we will notice that 2 and 7/100ths less than 2 and 70/100ths as we said. Now you can compare the rest of the problems in the activity in the same way بنفس الطريقة بالظبط and compare the numbers using the easiest strategy you prefer. Now we will get to know Adam in the activity mapping my route on page 102. Here is mapping my route. في الأكتيفيتي دي بيقول لي إن آدم wants to plot what he passes on the way الحاجات اللي هو بيعدي عليها وهو رايح المدرسة بتاعته on the number line. عايز يحطها أو يعملها plot على النمبر line. تعالوا كده نساعد آدم by numbering the number line using tenths and writing the fractions on top of the line and the decimals under the line زي ما احنا عاملين. تعالوا كده نشوف النمبر لاين مع بعض. طيب تعالوا بقى let's plot the places on the number line. We can notice هنلاحظ ان there could be more than one place. ممكن يبقى في أكتر من place على نفس البوينت. I want you to plot every place in your school book to be able to answer the activities questions. Let's start with Omar's house. Omar house at what? 3/10. يبقى هاجي عند 3/10 here وهكتب Omar's house. Okay. طيب يبقى Omar's house at this point. Okay. So the point 3/10 is representing Omar's house. طيب عند 8/10 آدم recorded corner store. هروح عند ال 8/10 وهكتب corner store. Okay. طيب دلوقتي at 1/10 I will write street light. هاجي عند 1/10 here هكتب street light. Okay. Now at 6/10 I will write Sarah's house. يبقى سارة عند 6/10. I will write here Sarah's house. Okay, what else? At 3/10 I will write brown house. يبقى هروح عند 3/10 again and I will write brown house. Okay. So what else? Adam also recorded that he saw a coffee shop at 7/10. يبقى هروح عند 7/10 وهكتب هو شاف here coffee shop. نكتبها here coffee shop. Okay. Then at 6/10 he saw a yellow house. 6/10 here he saw a yellow house. Okay. What else? Let's plot it here like you see here. At 1 kilometer there is also a park. Okay. يبقى عند 1 kilometer there is a park here at this point. Okay, what else? So after helping Adam, بعد ما ساعدنا آدم إن هو to plot the places on the number line, he passes on the number line that you also recorded in your school book. I'll give you now enough time to answer questions number 1 and 2, and when we get back, we will review the answers all together and complete the rest of the questions. And after we have finished, let's review the answers together. And now let's use the number line to answer the questions. طيب قبل ما أبدأ عايزة أفكركم بحاجة. In this point is Adam's house and this point his school. Okay, and now the first question asked us about the furthest house from Adam's house. أبعد house للhouse بتاع آدم. Is it Sarah's house ولا عمر's house؟ طيب زي ما احنا شايفين على النمبر لاين إن Adam's house is at the point 0 like you see وعمر's house is at 0.3 right? However Sarah's house at 0.6 يبقى مين الأبعد؟ So Sarah's house is farther from Adam's. تعالوا نكتب كده number 1 Sarah's house is further. Further يعني أبعد. Okay. Now in the second question we want to know if Adam on his way to the school وهو رايح المدرسة بتاعته passes by the coffee shop ولا corner store first. يعني عدى على الكوفي شوب ولا الكورنر store first. Okay. Here is Adam's house. The coffee shop first. Why? Because الكوفي شوب هنلاقيها عند 7/10 right? And then after it the corner store. So I write the coffee shop first. Number 2, the coffee shop first. Okay. Now تعالوا نشوف بقى the third question. We want to know who lives in the brown house. أنا متأكدة إن أنتوا شايفين ال brown house like you see here with the same point at عمر's house right؟ يبقى مين اللي بيعيش في ال brown house؟ Of course عمر lives in the brown house. So the answer is عمر. Okay, let's move to problem number 4 or the fourth question. احنا عارفين ان سارة is the one living in the yellow house. Why? Because both of them found on the same point on the number line. Here is Sarah's house on the same point as the yellow house. So the answer of problem number 4 is Sarah lives in the yellow house. In the fifth question, we want to know the distance between the street light and Omar's house. طيب من النمبر لاين هنلاحظ ان عمر's house 2 places away من street house. Look as you see here the street house and this is Omar's house, so it is 2 places farther from each other. طيب كل place represent 1/10 يبقى the distance is 2/10 kilometer from the street house. يبقى number 5 is 2 over 10 kilometer. Okay, And now we have helped our friend Adam with answering the questions with the use of the number line. استخدمنا النمبر line عشان نساعد our friend Adam. That we plotted the places, حطينا ال places he passed on his way to school. As we helped Adam, let's use comparison in a real-life situation that Maisa experienced in Connect part on page 104. تعالوا كده نشوفه مع بعض. Okay. Let's see the Connect part here as you see. طيب دلوقتي مايسا went to the supermarket. مايسا راحت السوبر ماركت عشان تشتري bottle of olive oil. لما جت تشتري الأوليف oil, she saw two bottles. The first one contained 5/10 liters of olive oil. The second one contained 73 hundredths. Like you see here, 5/10 liters and 73 hundredths liters of olive oil. طيب, she wants to know which bottle contains more oil. أنهي واحدة فيهم فيها more oil. I'll give you now enough time to think of the answer, which I am sure a lot of you will solve it in a very easy way. You can use the drawings, ممكن نستخدم drawings or words when you are answering. And now, after you have finished, let's compare and we will write the two fractions in the same form. اتفقنا لما نيجي نعمل compare between two fractions أو decimals لازم نعملهم in the same form. We could write the fraction 5/10 as a decimal. هكتب 5/10 as a decimal ازاي؟ Yes, it will be 0.5 أو 5 tenths. ودي الامount in the first bottle. يبقى هكتب هنا ال first bottle. Okay. Then the second bottle is 73 hundredths أو has 73 hundredths liters. يبقى هكتب هنا 73 hundredths يعني 0.73. And this is the second one. Okay. طيب, this is the second one. If we compare the tenths, we will find that 5 tenths less than 7 tenths. Here is 5 tenths and here is 7 tenths. So, which is the greater decimal number? يبقى أكيد 73 hundredths greater than 5 tenths. We understand that the amount of oil in the second one is greater than the amount in the first one. Right? Okay. After answering many problems on comparing fractions and decimals, تعالوا بقى let's develop our skills in solving and answering more and more problems in practice part in the digital copy of your math textbook on the Egyptian Knowledge Bank. To get it, you can scan the code shown here or you will find 5 problems. We have practiced the first 3 in the build part. تعالوا دلوقتي نحل مع بعض problem number 4 and 5. Okay, here in problem number 4 as you see it, problem number 4 بتقولي إن أمل ate 6/10 of her food. Okay, and her brother ate 4/10 of his food. We want to know who ate more. مين أكل أكتر من التاني؟ طب تعالوا نكتب two fractions as decimals عشان نقدر نعمل compare between them. احنا قلنا أمل ate 6/10 right؟ يبقى هكتب here 6/10. Okay? And her brother ate 4/10. يبقى أكتب هنا 4/10. I will write it as decimal. أنا متأكدة إن you can all tell that 6 greater than 4 مش 6/10 greater than 4. اوكي، ده معناه ايه؟ ده معناه ان امل ate more than her brother. يبقى 6/10 greater than 4 يبقى امل ate more than her brother. تعالوا نشوف بقى problem number 5. problem number 5 احنا عارفين ان بدر home is 44 hundredths kilometer away from the store like you see here. وفاتن home is 40/100 kilometers away from the same store like you see. طيب عايز اعرف who has to walk further؟ مين هيمشي أكتر عشان يوصل للستور ده؟ طب عشان أحدد مين اللي هيمشي أكتر I have to compare how far it is from each house to the store. يعني لازم أحدد كل house بالديستنس بتاعته قد إيه عشان يوصل للستور. طيب أنا هكتب distance between Fatin's home and the store as a decimal. مش احنا قلنا 40 over 100؟ لما اجي اكتبها as a decimal هتبقى 40 hundredths يعني 0.40. انا متأكدة ان انتوا كلكم ملاحظين ان 44 hundredths اللي هي الديستنس بتاعت بدر's home is of course greater than 40 hundredths اللي هي الديستنس بتاعت Fatin's home. So we know in بدر will walk a greater distance to go to the store or to reach to the store. Here is Badr and here is Fatin. Okay, and now we have completed our today's lesson. We learned how to compare the fractions and decimals that have 10 or 100 as the denominator. وكمان we answered and practiced many problems. You can discuss this with your friends in the classroom. We know to know the similarities and differences between identifying the value of decimals and the whole numbers and give each other كل واحد يدي examples to his friends to prove that your answers is correct. You can also share with us your ideas on the problem on مدرستنا's page on Facebook in the comment section of the lesson. You can also build on your understanding and skills in Check Your Understanding found in the digital version of your math textbook on the Egyptian Knowledge Bank. You can scan the code shown here or at the beginning of the lesson. I hope you have enjoyed our lesson today with me. Thank you so much and see you next lesson.